Hi everyone, welcome to the video. This one is all about how to research an ETF. As you're going to see on screen, this is my article, which is the longer format of this video. We're going to cover what I talk about in it, which is all about the pieces of information I look for when I'm thinking of investing in an ETF or looking to compare a few. What we're going to do is I'm going to take you through a couple of product pages and actually show you what they all mean, because that's one of the best ways to identify what a good ETF is or isn't. So analyzing the ETF, there's a few things you should look out for. I'm going to run through a few examples and explain what they are. The first example I've got here is the iShares Global 100 ETF. This is IOO on the ASX and it's provided by iShares or BlackRock here in Australia. And this is the product page for that. As you scroll down, there's a lot of information on there. There's fact sheets, there's downloads, there's PDFs and stuff. I'll just take you through some of the pieces of information I look for. So we'll start here. I pretty much look straight away at the investment objective. What does this ETF aim to do? So this ETF looks to follow the S&P Global 100 Index, which measures 100 multinational blue chip or large cap type global equities or companies. Pretty much you can identify there's 100 companies in it that are from across the world. This is actually an ETF that I own and I really like the way it's run. Management fee, you'll see here 0.40. So every year you'll be charged 0.40%. Anything under 0.5, I personally regard as low cost. So 0.4 to me is, yes, a low cost ETF. As you scroll down the page, you'll see other pieces of information. So you can see here the performance of the fund over time, 1 year, 2, 3 year, 5 and 10 years. If you're looking to hold it for a long term, then you can get a good gauge of what long-term performance looks like in numbers. If you're more of a visual person, then you might want to click on this chart and just see what 10 grand would have done over a certain periods of time. Last 5 years, 10 grand would have grown to 17 and a half, which is pretty good. 10 years, it would have grown to from 10 to nearly 40. And then if you bought it in the year 2000, it would have dropped below that and it would have taken you until 2015 for it to start making you money and then go up to 25. These charts aren't here to show you what your future will hold. It's all just an indication of whether this fund has actually done a reasonable job in its lifespan. And so, what you're looking for is it to really just go from the bottom left to the top right over the long term, which is done in most of these charts. And that's what I look for in performance. As we keep scrolling down, we'll see key facts. So some key facts I look for are the size of the fund. So in here, it's labeled as net assets. So there's $2.4 billion in this fund at the moment. So that's quite big. So anything over really $500 million, 500 million is quite a decent sized fund and one that makes it easier for you to buy and sell and means it's quite popular across investors in the market. Inception date, this fund has been running since the year 2000, 20 plus years, which means it's done a good job. A lot of ETFs close because they just don't have enough investors or they don't perform well. Having a fund that's been around for this long gives you some trust in that it can do its job in terms of performing over the long term. What else might you look for? There's a ticker name, rebalance quarterly. That means the companies within the fund are realigned to the index every quarter, every 3 months. Distribution frequency is another one. You get dividends paid semi-annually, which means twice a year. So probably July and January. The yield, 2% at this point. Sustainability characteristics, I don't pay too much attention to this, but for an individual who's looking at the sustainable or ethical type aspect of a fund, iShares now includes that in each of their product pages. You can see there's a bit of information there and what that all means there. As you keep scrolling down, you can see more aspects. Holdings. Holdings is a great one because you can then understand exactly what each ETF holds within it, what companies it holds within the fund. A lot of the ASX shares actually hold the American version of the ETF. So what we actually need to do is click on underlying holdings to see the exact companies that you're investing in. Here you can see that the top 10 are Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. And then you can look at the weights to say, okay, 30% of the fund is Apple. For each dollar you invest into IOO, 13 cents will go to Apple and so forth. You can have a play with the columns here to identify, where they're from. You can see the countries, most of US, Korea, France. I think there's an Australian one. There we go. BHP's in there. Great. In this ETF, there's only 100. So there's probably only, 100 or so companies that are on this page. Then there's just more helpful information, such as where the fund invests in terms of the countries. 70% is America, a bit in France, Germany, UK, and so forth, and Japan. Then there's more information here, which is all about what I've looked at, but in one page. So that might be easier for you to just scan through. Yep, so it's got the chart, it's got pieces of information that I just looked over, holdings, inception dates, performance, and so forth. So that might just be a quick fire way to get all that information we just talked about. That's IOO, and that's pretty much how I like to look at a product page. Now let's go to one from Vanguard. VAS, which is one of the more popular funds in Australia. And you can see it's just laid out in a different way. You've got the fees here, 0.10, so a bit cheaper than IO. Funds under management, 12 billion. So it's quite a big fund. And then you can scroll down to see the objective. It just follows the ASX 300, the companies within that index. Then you just scroll down, you've got fund facts. It was launched in 2009. The fund that it's based off has been around since 1997, so a long, long time. And then the chart, and you can see it's different here to iShares. It's just a design. So, you can have a play again with all the different returns and see how it all looks for yourself. Again, the charts here, it's a bit different to the iShares one, but again, you're just looking, going from bottom left to top right, which is what I like to see, especially over the long term. Great. 10 grand would have turned into 22. Not the last 10 or so years. Standard deviation. So this is a good one. This wasn't available in the iShares page. Standard deviation is an explanation of the volatility that you'll see from the fund. So pretty much the higher the standard deviation, the more volatile it'll mean. That means it'll jump around like so over the course of time. You'll see funds like this, which are purely invested in stock markets and equities across the world, are going to be higher. Then if you look at something like bonds, it'll be much lower, like around 5%. And then cash in the bank is pushing the bottom there, which is 1 or 2%. So because the risk there is much lower and your money is not going to fluctuate. But the higher you get, the more riskier or more volatile your journey will be. There's more portfolio data here, and it's all the same, just different charts and different interpretations of what that information is. So that is how Vanguard presents their ETF pages. One more example is BetterShares, another popular provider here in Australia. They've got a bit of a cleaner look type product page, but again, the information's here. A fund objective for this diversified all growth ETF, low cost exposure to a portfolio of high growth potential. Great. Some benefits. They've got a video you can look through, and then you've got those key facts. So this fund is a bit smaller, much smaller in fact than the other two, only $218 million within it. It's not as popular. People don't trade it often. The fees are low, and they distribute dividends quarterly, so 4 times a year. This is all information to pay attention to, and you can just accumulate that if you're looking at each ETF individually. That's 3 different types of product pages. What another quick or sort of bonus I want to show you is also, so that's what a product page looks like for an ETF. What I want to show you now is a really good comparison tool that Vanguard provide. It's called the Vanguard Fund Compare Tool. What this tool is, the Vanguard Compare Tool, is a way for you to quickly type in some funds and get quick, clear information on what they are. So it cuts out all the marketees and all the information that you just trying to scroll through on the previous page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the 3 ETFs of the product page that I just looked through. And I'm going to just have this tool load them all. So rather than scroll through the individual product pages, I can just come here and find all the key pieces of information side by side in the same format. I don't have to sort of look between all these different pages and try and identify through the different ways they design and format their page. I can just look in a nice clear table and find exactly what I'm looking for. Here, I've got IIO, VAS, DHHF. I can see the costs, 0.4, 0.1, 0.19. Quickly identify what the lowest cost is. The fund size, 2.4 bill, 12.5 bill, only 219 mil. How many holdings in it? So the inception date, how long it's been around for, 07, 09, 2019. What the yield is, 2%, 7%, 4%. Graphs are here to show you short and long-term performance. You can turn them into a table. And then as you scroll down, you can see exactly what the holdings are within them. So you can see the companies involved, the type of sectors each of the companies are part of, and then you've got a breakdown of what countries they're in. So this is a fantastic tool. I use it a lot, especially when I'm just trying to identify, hey, which global ETF's best, which Australian ETF is best, which dividend ETF is best. I'll put all the links in the description so you can go directly to the pages I've looked through today. But that's really it. That's how I research ETFs, how I compare them, and the information I look for. So I hope that helps, and happy investing.